the Flames. He's played a lot of hard minutes for their team, and we think is really going to add to our hockey club. I think that he's going to help our team speed by being able to move the puck and transport the puck, either carrying it or passing it. He's going to, give us he can make plays, and I think to win, there's a point in time where you have to have playmakers on your team. He, for me, is a guy that can do that. He's really excited to be joining our team. Obviously, being in the same division, he's seen lots of us. He produces offensively. He's got a very hard shot. He creates a lot of offense deep in the offensive zone. He's one of the top-ranked defensemen at completing plays into the slot. And watched his game on Saturday. In fact, he had an assist in the first period doing exactly that. So a little bit different than what we have, and I think really adds to our group. Defensively, our team has very good defensive metrics. Rasmus has been in a top pair role in Calgary. He's played against the top players, for 4 or 5 years now. So I think he'll complement us that way as well. The price for our acquiring Rasmus was defenseman Zach Whitecloud, a first-round pick in 2007, a conditional first-round pick, or 2027, excuse me, a conditional second-round pick in 2028 that becomes a first-round pick if we win the Stanley Cup. And Zach Whitecloud, just a tremendous story. He was a college free agent that played 2 years in the American Hockey League in Chicago. Joined our team, was a mainstay ever since. Character through the roof, very popular, well-liked teammate. We wish him all the best in Calgary. I think that he'll play very well there. I hope he does great. And, personally, he's from Brandon. I've known him since he was a young guy, and watched him play, bantam hockey, midget hockey, junior hockey, college hockey, and was really proud of him being able to accomplish what he did in our organization yesterday. And speaking with Zach, he could not have been classier. He obviously disappointed, loved everything about playing in Las Vegas, the organization, his teammates, but understands, and he was very gracious for his time here, as we are to him with the time that he spent in our organization. Just a couple of other things before we go to questions. Just some injury updates with Braden McNabb, Colton Sissons, Brandon Saad, Brett Howden, William Karlsson, Carter Hart. Unlikely any of those players play before the Olympic break. We'll monitor that more closely as we get to the end of the break. They'll rehab here in Las Vegas over the course of the Olympics, and we'll see where everything lies when they return. Recent play, I think our team has played really well. I think that we got some confidence with some overtime wins finally. I think we sit 7th in the NHL when you look at the injuries that we've had along the way with the overtime troubles that we've had, the number of overtime games, and then our inability to have success. We've been better lately, obviously, but I think when you look at the makeup of the roster, you have to, as a manager, it's not day to day for fans. It's 82 one-game seasons. For a manager, your perspective is obviously a little bit different than that, so you have to try to project what your team looks like, when you have reasonable health. I don't think it's pie in the sky to think you're always going to have great health. That's not realistic, but I think when you look at some of the people that are out of the lineup, you picture what our lineup would look like with them contributing in the roles that we're used to seeing them in. And I think we've got a pretty good team. I think that we're better lately. I think you get some confidence. Wins give you some confidence, and I think that's really helped us. We got, I guess the start of it would have been the overtime win in Winnipeg, and we've played pretty well since then. It's an important game for us tonight because we're going on the road, and I think when you're playing that last home game, it's always an important one, so you can set yourself up for some success on the road. I'd open it up to questions now. I should have added on Rasmus. It'll be the first question if I don't. Final year of a 6-year contract that he signed in Calgary. He's played his entire career with the Flames. He was a draft choice of their organization. And he is on an expiring contract. We did not speak with his representatives with respect to an extension. Not unlike when we acquired Noah Hannafin. That's a process that we'll get to in time. We're hopeful to retain him. That was part of our motivation for trading for the player, but we haven't had those discussions as of yet. And then I guess just finally maybe trying to predict another question. Obviously not in the lineup tonight, and we are working through his immigration right now. And until we have that more clearly or clarified, we won't know exactly when his first game will be with our team. So with that, I'll open it up to questions.
Thanks, Kelly. We'll start with Danny for the front. Kelly.
Danny Webster, Las Vegas Review-Journal. Kelly, obviously you mentioned the defensive metrics have obviously been very good, and obviously with a 7-game winning streak, did you still feel like the blue line was a necessity to address at this point?
Well, you don't, trades can happen quickly. Generally, they take a little more time, and they're not often connected to whether, if we prior to our 7-game winning streak, we had lost 7 of 8 or whatever that number was. If we'd have traded for Rasmus Andersson there at that point in time, you'd think we were reacting to the fact that we hadn't been winning. It's not like that. We're trading for this player, for the rest of this season. Hopefully, we're a playoff team. We have success there. We look to retain the player. So it's a lot longer view than the way that you asked the question. I guess when you go back to where we were and heading into the off season when we knew that we were going to be losing Alex Pietrangelo, we had comfort in that we still liked our defense, and yet there's certain elements that Petro brought to a team that are pretty unique, and this player is different than Alex Pietrangelo, but he does bring some of that. I refer to it as that playmaking ability, and Petro, for me was so good at that. He was strong in so many areas, but that was one of the things that when you get to playoff games, when you get to playing really tough opponents, you need some playmakers. And I think that we've added one with Rasmus Andersson, and just really feel it gives us a strong defense, Danny.
Really?
Kelly, Willard Ramirez with the Associated Press. To respect with what you said in terms of trades come up, can you take us through the process in terms of, did you know he was on the table? Did you approach Calgary? Did they come to you? Can you just take us through that process of how this developed?
Yeah, I don't think it was a secret around the NHL that Rasmus Andersson was a player that could be traded. He was on an expiring deal. I think they'd had discussions in the past about extending, and that didn't happen. So ordinarily in that case, when you look around the NHL, it's players like that might be traded. We had talked to Calgary in the offseason as well, so they would be aware of our interest. And then it's been a really different year for so many ways, how tight the standings are, but then the Olympics is different. And I think a lot of people thought that leading into the Olympic break, and still may be the case, a lot of people thought leading into the Olympic break there might be a lot more activity. And when you go through all of the rosters of the teams going to the Olympics, the one prominent player from those teams that might be on the move was Rasmus Andersson. So his timeline in some respects, I feel, was a little bit different than some of the other players that might be traded along the way. I think the other thing you see that so many teams are very much in playoff contention. Some of those teams are there for the first time in a while. I don't think they want to trade players away and send that signal to their fan base that we need another year, we're not quite there yet, or even send that message to your team. So I think that's maybe reduced activity as to what some people might thought. I think what you will see when we get back from the Olympics is I think our team maybe has 5 games between the end of the Olympics and the trade deadline. That's going to be a sprint, I think, when you look across the league. In the case of Rasmus Andersson, he plays a lot for Calgary. He plays a hard game. an injury, I think, became a real issue for Calgary. And I think past that, I felt for a while that the longest Calgary would go before trading Rasmus would be the Olympic break, because I don't think if you're in their position, you want the player going to the Olympics, potentially risking injury, and then that would significantly cost them a significant opportunity. So his timeline, for me, my assessment of it was a little different than what it might be for some other players.
Go Alan, Steve, Ken.
Kelly, you have a documented history of making some big name trades here at VGK. Can you talk a little about the dynamic and the relationship you have with owner Bill Foley that gives you the confidence to make these kind of high-end trades?
Well, we have a great relationship with Bill, personally, myself and George. I think there was great value when you go right back to, I call it the expansion year when we didn't have the team. I call our first year team, I always refer to it as the inaugural season. So the year that we didn't have the team and we were, meeting as regularly as we did when we were doing our work, doing deep dives on all, at that time, 30 teams that we were going to be dealing with. Bill was a big part of those meetings. And, a couple of months in, I think I might have said to George, I love that he's here. These meetings are good. Our process is good. We've got really intelligent, smart people in the room. I love that he sees that. So I think Bill has a lot of confidence in George and a lot of confidence in myself. He's aggressive. He wants to win. Our philosophies align in that regard. So he's never said no. He trusts us, and we appreciate that. It helps us do our jobs well, and that's we've stayed on that path. We've stayed on that path, and I've said many times, I don't think ourselves included, anyone expected year one to be what year one was, and then when it was, it just changed the calculus of the organization for the next 8 years.
Steve and Ken.
Steve Karp with the Sporting Tribune. 2 questions. First, if Brady McNabb does not get hurt, does it change your trajectory on trying to acquire Rasmus? 2, Calgary's willingness to take 50% of his salary to make this work. How were you able to get Conroy to agree to that? Because they were talking earlier about not taking on any of his salary.
Yeah, you make I would say one good point, Steve. I'm not going to give you credit for 2. But your point on retention I didn't mention at the beginning. And, retention is in the bargaining mix, right? And I've always felt that retention is, I always qualified by saying people that say it's only money usually aren't talking about their own. But the team that's trading the player can put that into a deal where it has great value for the team that's acquiring the player, right? So it's part of the bargaining mix, and when it's a standalone transaction, it's easy to see what the value of the retention was in a certain situation. It was important to us because we want to maintain flexibility from now till March 6th, right? So it was an important part of it for us. With respect to Braden's injury, no, it sort of ties in with the question Danny asked. We were interested in Rasmus Andersson in the offseason. We were interested in him regardless if we'd won 7 in a row, lost 7 in a row, because this is a lot longer play than just that.
Ken.
Most of what you've said on Andersson's been playmaking, offensive, being able to get the puck into the net, basically. The other side matters too a lot. Do you view it as an upgrade defensively as well?
Well, I like Zach Whitecloud, so certainly not going to be critical of his game. Really steady, good skater, can play against good players. I'm referring to Zach. I think Rasmus Andersson could do all of that defensively. He's, his quality of competition, which the analytics measure, he's always been like in the top, 10 or 15 players for quality of competition. We're a well-coached team. Calgary plays similar D-zone to us. I think he'll transition well, and I expect that he'll fine in that area. And then I think the other thing with it that you can see when even this season when Noah Hannafin was injured on opening night, that affects your transition. That in turn affects the speed of your team. So there'd be a night you watch us and say, geez, we look slow. Well, then when Shea Theodore got hurt, Noah was back healthy by then, but when Shea Theodore got hurt, you felt the same thing. When Shea Theodore and Noah Hannafin are both playing, our team has very good speed. This guy is another one, another player like that is going to help our team be faster. It's going to help our forwards be better offensively. They're going to get the puck in better spots. They're going to get the puck in transition. They're going to get the puck in breakouts. So those things are all, that's a big part of what your offense looks like, is what that group of 6 defensemen are doing in terms of moving the puck. And it's not to discredit the puck moving ability of the other guys, but Theodore is elite, and nobody passes the puck like him. Very few guys in the league. Hannafin is more of a transporter. He's more of a guy that carries it because he's such a good skater. Rasmus Andersson for me is a little bit of both.
Last call for questions. Next we'll go to Alex.
Kelly, before the trade deadline hits, is there any other areas on the team that you're hoping to address or you're looking at?
Yeah, I don't feel there's a gaping hole or a tremendous weakness. Going into the year, we wanted to see what the defense looked like because of the loss of Alex Pietrangelo, and the move with Anderson for me puts us in a position again where we feel our defense is a real strength and one of the better ones in the NHL. You can always make your team better at every position, but I don't think we're chasing anything. We've got a little bit of flexibility, which again speaks to Steve's question on the retention. We'll keep grinding. We'll work right till March 6th. If an opportunity presents itself that makes some sense for us, we'll pursue it. And yet, you can never. I sometimes say when I do media after the trade deadline, there might be a year where you do the amount of work and it works out to be 1 trade or 2 trades. There might be a year where you do the same amount of work and it works out to be no trades, right? You can't necessarily predict that. I touched on it a little bit earlier when I spoke to, I think, Olympic break onward is going to be busy in the league. I think, even in the last 10 days, there's a couple of teams probably have moved into the category of sellers, which, there wasn't, 10 days ago. So as we go along, there's more games in the NHL in January than there has been in history. So there's going to be things change going into the Olympic break. I think we've got, 10 games maybe? I can't remember exactly what we've got going into the break. So things will start to change, and then I think the break, and then I think coming out of the break, it'll be busy. Now I say all of that, there'll probably be 4 trades tomorrow. You don't know, right?
Take 2 more questions. Steven, then Serena.
Yeah, Kelly, just something totally unrelated. Trevor Connolly, we think he got injured at the World Juniors. Is there any update on him and how he's doing?
Trevor is practicing with the team. They didn't practice today. He'll practice with the team tomorrow, and we expect if the week goes well, they got a full week of practice. They don't play till Saturday. That he'll play Saturday. So.
Last one, Serena.
Thank you. Just going back to Rasmus Andersson, were you specifically looking for a right defenseman, or were you looking for somebody that specifically was going to fit into this lineup at his caliber?
Well, both, to be honest. The fact that he's right-handed is helpful because of the fact we have Shea Theodore, who we call a right defenseman, but he shoots left. So yeah, right defensemen are probably a little harder to find, and Rasmus Andersson is very much what we were looking for. That would be the best answer I could give you. I think he's going to come in and complement our team really well.
Thank you, Kelly. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the game.